Welcome everybody to Philosophy 1301, Introduction to Philosophy. My name is Ryan Pollock and I will be your instructor for this course. In this initial video, I just want to take you through some of the nuts and bolts of the course, get you acquainted with the infrastructure of the course Blackboard page, talk about some expectations and guidelines, and give you a little bit of a sense of what topics and issues we will be talking about. Now, the first thing I want to highlight for you is that here I am on the course Blackboard page, and as you can see, I'm currently under the Syllabus and Weekly Instructions tab. So this tab is really your first stop. This is your first area to go if you're ever confused about what tasks you need to complete in any given week. And there's two reasons for this. First, under this tab, you can find the syllabus, and that'll give you a whole overview of the course. It'll explain or identify all the assignments you'll need to complete in a general way, but also tell you for every single week of the course on the course schedule what you need to do. But another reason is under this document you'll see week 1 instructions. So I already, if you looked at the announcement I sent out recently, I've already emailed you out this document, and I'll email out a new one of these every single week. So in week 1 you'll have a set of instructions, week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. And as I email those out, I'll also post these here for your reference. So for instance, if you're really just interested in a quick way, for instance, what do I need to do in week 1? What do I need to do in week 4 of the course? Then you can click on these documents and it'll give you a bullet point outline of everything you need to do, along with some basic thoughts I'm having about the course material as we move through the course. Okay, so this is your first stop if you have any questions of that kind. Now, let's actually take a look at the syllabus itself. So, a few preliminary points. First, as I said, my name is Ryan Pollock. You can refer to me as Dr. Pollock, that'll be fine. And the first thing I really want to discuss is how you can contact me. And I want to discuss this and make a point of it because, as you know, of course, this is an online course, and when you are engaged in distance learning, there's an unfortunate tendency that it can be a sort of isolating or alienating experience. I mean, you don't have the community of other students, you don't have the direct contact with the professor, so you can sort of feel like you're learning alone or like no one's really checking, what's going on with you, and that, of course, is not conducive to good learning. So I really want to stave that off, and I want to tell you, first, there will be opportunities to collaborate and discuss with your classmates through the discussion board assignment that we'll be doing. But also, I am very much available to you. A real flesh and blood person is here who is teaching this course and is willing and ready to answer your questions and really help you get as much out of this course as you possibly can. So what are the best ways to contact me? Well, the first one would be email. So you can see my email address is listed there, rpollock@tamusa.edu. That's the first, if you have any questions, that's the first best place to contact me. But let's say your concern is more than just a quick question that can be addressed in an email. Let's say you want to sit down for a meeting. Now, because this is an online course, we're not going to be having any physical office hours. We're not going to actually meet with one another, but we can do so virtually. And so if you would like to do so for a longer discussion about an assignment or the course material, if you have questions, if you're confused, then I'm happy to do so. And all such appointments will be made by appointment and will be conducted through Blackboard Collaborate. So first, I'm not having a set office hours because I think it's just more efficient for you to email me if you would like to meet, and then we can set up a time that works for both of us. Now, in terms of how we'll actually conduct the meetings, so it says via Blackboard Collaborate. How do I find that? Let's go back to the Blackboard page. Scroll down to Tools, scroll down to Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and this is the page you need to go to. So if you email me and we set up an appointment, then I'll create a room for us to meet in, and as you can see right now, there are no rooms, there are no sessions scheduled, but if you did set up a meeting with me, I would set up that session, and you would click on that, and we would both meet there at the appropriate time. So again, if you want to have a longer conversation, if you want to sit down and have a virtual meeting, I'm very much ready and willing to do that. I just ask that you give me sufficient advance notice, right? We both we both, of course, have busy schedules, and it'll be easier the more advance notice you give for us to find a time in which we can both meet. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say for the moment about how to contact me. If you scroll down in the syllabus, you'll see the course description. I'm not going to say too much about the course description at this exact time. Most of what we'll be doing next week in week 2 of this course is just trying to get a handle on what a philosophical question is, what are some examples of questions that philosophers ask, and how do philosophers go about answering these questions. But I will give you a sample of some of the questions that philosophers think about. Here are those examples. So, does God exist? Where does morality come from? What does it mean to be the same person over time? Do human beings have free will? How should we live in the face of death? Is death a bad thing for us? What is the meaning of life? So these are some examples of questions that philosophers ask that we will be touching on in various ways throughout this course. And I just want to make a quick note about many of these topics, just so you're sort of forewarned. Some of the topics that we will cover could touch on issues that are somewhat sensitive or issues that could be somewhat disturbing or troubling. So the topic of death will come up a lot in this course. Examples could use death. We'll be talking about whether our death is a bad thing for us, how we should think about the fact that we will die. Also, the topic of suicide will come up. As I mentioned, one of the classic philosophical questions is, does God exist? So we'll look at arguments for the existence of God and also some arguments against the existence of God. And questions about, is life meaningful, can have a sort of anxiety-provoking or disturbing sort of influence as well. So I just want to make you aware of that, that we will be touching on topics of that sort. And if any of that is concerning to you, again, please don't hesitate to contact me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how the learning in this course will happen. What is the learning format? So there's really 3 components to the learning format. This is an asynchronous course. That means we're not going to have any virtual meetings altogether, so like Zoom or WebEx or anything like that. And so because that's the case, the learning format is broken down in these 3 components. First, there are readings you're required to complete. So, and to show you this, I want to first go back to, or I want to show you, the course schedule. So let's use the linkable table of contents. Takes you, here's the course schedule at the end of the syllabus. So this course schedule is broken down in such a way that it lays out exactly what tasks you need to complete and the order in which I think you should complete them. So let's just take week 1. On the left-hand side, you can see the topics that we will be talking about. On the right-hand side, I've broken it down into reading, videos, and assignments. And the reason I broke it down this way is because what I would suggest is that you first do the reading, then you watch any videos that are available for that week, and then you complete any assignments. So in this particular week, there is no reading, but there are 2 videos, the class introduction and syllabus overview video, which you're watching right now, and also the discussion board guidelines video. And then after that, you should complete discussion board 1. Now, don't worry about, we're going to talk more about discussion board assignments here in a second and all the other assignments. But let's just focus on the reading for now. So for this week, there is no reading. We're just really getting acquainted with the course. Let's skip down to week 2. Under this category, it says reading, Russell, the value of philosophy. Okay, so you might say, that's what I'm supposed to read. Where can I find that? So let's go back to the Blackboard page, the readings tab, and all the readings are available broken down by week. So if you go to week 2, there's the document right there, Russell and the value of philosophy. Click and open it up. Okay, so what this means is that all the readings are available online, and so what that means is that there's no textbook you need to buy, there's no book you need to order, everything will be available through Blackboard. Okay, so all the readings are available in that way. Just one other point to make about the reading, let's skip down a little bit to find an example, week 8. So in week 8, you can see that there are 2 readings, Plato's Phaedo, this selection. So notice when you open up this document, the Phaedo by Plato, the entire document will open up. But for this reading assignment, you only need to read a selection, and that selection in this case is pages 60 to 73. Then you'll also see there's a second reading, Kagan, Plato on the Immortality of the Soul. You'll see that only this selection is relevant, but also says this reading is optional. So what does that mean? Well, it means the selection from the Phaedo, the first reading, is the primary thing we're going to focus on, the primary topic of our lesson for that week. But the second one is a reading I will refer to, and if you have time, it's something you can take a look at. But certainly I would recommend that if you cannot do both, you certainly focus on the first reading. So I make it available if you want it, but it is, at the end of the day, optional. Okay, so those are the readings. Those are the readings to complete, and that's where you can find the readings. So that's the first part of the learning format. So let's talk about the other piece of the learning format. There's also the video lectures and lecture outline. So again, because we're not going to be meeting together, you won't have live lectures, but I do have a set of pre-recorded lectures that I have made and that I'm making available to you in two ways. The first way is through Blackboard. So for instance, where can you find these? Where can you find my video lectures? Go back to Blackboard, go under Lessons, and all the lectures are broken down again by week, just like the readings. So if we go back to the course schedule, we see that just talking about week 1, so there's no readings, but there are 2 videos. Both of these are explanation videos, so that's a little bit different. So let's actually take a look at week 2. So we said week 2, the reading is Russell and the Value of Philosophy. And then here are the videos to watch. Lecture 1, Lecture 2, Lecture 3, and Explanation 3. Okay, so the lecture videos will all be found under the Lessons tab. So Lecture 1, Lecture 2, Lecture 3, where can I find that? Back on Blackboard, week 2 lessons. Here they are, 1, 2, and 3. And so you can click on these links, and where it will take you is to YouTube. Right, so alright, so the purpose of this video at this video, right, on my YouTube account, on my YouTube channel, right? So the link will take you right to YouTube, and you can watch the video there. Now you'll also notice, you might say, what is the visual in this video? So the visual in this video is a PDF document or a lecture outline that I use. If we skip ahead, you can see as it loads up, I'm essentially scrolling down this document, and it'll help you follow along with the lecture. And you might say, well, how can I get access to that? So if you go back to Blackboard, and you click on this document right here that's associated with the link, then you can pull up the document, and you can scroll through it yourself. So this is good for following along with the lecture. It's good for reviewing afterwards, and so I also encourage you to take advantage of that. So I told you that there are 2 ways you can access the videos. One is directly through Blackboard. All the links to the videos will be made available through Blackboard. You can also go right to my YouTube channel. I have a link to my YouTube channel here. And if you subscribe, you can get notifications of all the videos for this course and even my other courses if you have just an insatiable appetite for philosophy. Alright, so that's where you get the video lectures and the lecture outlines. And this is the main way in which content will be delivered. You'll do the reading, you'll watch the lectures, and then after that, it'll just be a matter of completing the assignments. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the assignments in this course. So I've already sort of hinted at this, that there are these discussion board assignments, and in fact, for week 1, the one assignment you have is to complete the discussion boards. So I'm not going to really say too much about this right now, and the reason for this is I have a separate video on the discussion boards. So for instance, if you go back to Blackboard, go to discussion boards, and you click on this link here, it'll take you again to YouTube, and there's a short, I think about 10-minute video explaining all the guidelines and really everything you need to know about the discussion boards. So I won't really say anything about that here. The only thing I'll say is that there are 20 of these, so they're just dispersed throughout the semester. Each is worth 10 points. That's 200 total points, which is 25% of your grade. And again, the purpose of the discussion boards is to give you a chance to discuss with myself and the class and your classmates the material that we're covering. And again, if you want to know how many discussion boards do I have to do in a given week, it will always be found under the Assignments tab on the course schedule. So for instance, this week we have Discussion Board 1. Next week you'll have 2 assignments, Discussion Board 2 and 3. After that, in week 3, you'll have Discussion Board 4, etc., etc. And you'll notice that in the Discussion Board area, right now only Discussion Board 1 is available. So every week these will become available. So next week, because we have Discussion Board 2 and 3, you'll see Discussion Board 2 and 3 are posted there. And so as we move through the course, you'll have access to more discussion boards. Okay. So again, I'm not going to say anything else about the discussion board assignment. There's a separate video for that. I think that's all we need to say in this video. The second major assignment in the course are the response papers. Now, so the same thing here. There's also a explanation video for this, so I'm not going to say too much about the nuts and bolts of this assignment, and you will be required to watch that video not this week, but in week 2. So I'll just say a few things about where you can find the response papers and how many you'll have to complete. So if you want to find where the response papers are, go to Blackboard, go to the Response Papers tab, and you can find a few things here. So this is the document. If you click on this link here, it'll bring you to the document which explains all the guidelines for the assignment. If you click on this link, it'll take you to the video which explains all the guidelines for the assignment. And then underneath that are all the submission areas. So response paper 1 would be submitted here, response paper 2 submitted here, etc., etc., etc. Now, there's one important thing to note here. You'll notice that right here it says 4 response papers are due, 50 points each, that's 200 total points. Okay, well, that's weird because there are 10 total response paper submission areas. So why is that? Okay, so that's a good question. The reason is you have 10 opportunities to complete response papers, but you only are required to complete 4 of them. So you get to choose which 4 you want to do and work around your schedule with one important caveat. So I'll explain what that is. So let's go to the course schedule. And the first response paper opportunity isn't until week 3. So here it says response paper 1 due, and it's due on September 4th at 11:59 p.m. Oh, and I should also say, all times for due dates are Central Time, right? So I actually live in the Eastern Time Zone, but just to eliminate any confusion, all due dates are Central Time Zone. So this one says this is when response paper 1 is due, but you don't have to complete response paper 1. If you want to, it's due by then, and if you don't submit it by the 4th at 11:59, then your opportunity to complete that one has passed. So you can submit it, but you don't have to, right? And you'll see then again, in week 5, we have our second response paper opportunity, week 6, our third one, etc., etc. So you get to choose, there are 10 total throughout the semester, you choose 4. But which 4, as I said, there's one caveat, and that one caveat is this. You have to complete 2 of the first 5 opportunities. That means you have to complete at least 2 in the first half of the course. So response paper 5 is in week 8. Right? It's due on October 9th at the end of the day. So you have to complete 2 out of the first 5 papers at least. So you could do all 4 in the first 5 if you wanted to. You could do response paper 1, 2, 3, and 4. That would be fine. But you have to complete at least 2 in the first half of the course and at least 2 in the second. And there's a couple reasons for this. One is to ensure that you're sort of spacing out your assignments and not saving all the response papers till the very end of the course when you're very likely going to be bogged down with other work for this class and other classes as well. So that's the only caveat, but within those boundaries, you can choose whichever ones you want to do. And also note that if you don't complete the required number of 2 papers in the first half of the course, then you will get zeros. So for instance, if in the first 5 opportunities you only complete 1, then that means you would definitely be taking a 0 on at least 1 paper. You don't want to do that, so make sure you do at least 2 of the first 5 papers. Okay, so again, I'm not going to say anything else about the guidelines for that assignment because there is a separate video for that, which, as you can see, I'm having you watch in week 2. So we'll just put that off for the moment, but just to kind of let you know that that's on the horizon. The third major assignment category is exams. There are 2 exams in this class. Each is worth 200 points. That's 400 points total. So exams are 50% of your total grade. So, or another way to put it, each exam is worth 25% of your grade. The response papers in total are worth 25%. The discussion boards are worth 25%. So how will the exams work? So this is probably becoming a common refrain. There's going to be another video about the exams where I'll take you through in a little more detail what I expect for the exams. And you'll be watching that video in week 4, right? So here, explanation 4, exam guidelines. So there's going to be another video for that. I actually haven't posted that one yet. So at the time I'm recording this, it's August 11th at 11:07 a.m. So at this moment, I haven't yet posted it. By the time you're watching this, maybe I will have posted it. But certainly well before week 4, that video will be available for you. So I'm not going to go through all the guidelines for the exams because of that separate video. But I'll just say, again, a few things that you need to know at this moment. So the first thing you need to know is when the exams are. So each exam is going to have its own week devoted to it. So if we go back to the course schedule, the week for the first exam is week 9. So notice in week 9, there's no readings, there's no videos to watch, right? So any content that you'll be responsible for, just stuff you're catching up on, there's no new content during those weeks. And so what's going to happen is that if you go to Blackboard, and I'll show you this in a second, the exam will open up on October 12th at 8 a.m., and it'll close at October 16th at the end of the day. So what that means is you have a period of that whole week of 5 days to complete the exam. And you can complete that, and you can choose whenever you want during those 5 days to complete the exam. You can do it right when it opens up. You can do it when it's almost the deadline. Any of that is fine. So how will the exams work? Well, so first let me show you where you find them. If you go to exams, and you go to, let's just look at exam 1. So in this folder is where you would find the exam. So as you can see, you can't see it right now. The assignment that you click on for exam 1 will only be posted when we actually get to week 9. But when we get to week 9, on the 12th at 8 a.m., that link will become available. So you'll click on that link, and what it will give you is the following. The program will give you 2 randomly selected essay questions. And I'm going to show you what they're randomly selected from in a second. But 2 randomly selected essay questions. And you will have 20 minutes to submit your answers. Now the first thing you might say is, especially when I show you what the possible essay questions are, you might say 20 minutes doesn't seem like enough time to complete both questions. And you would be correct. 20 minutes is not enough time to complete both questions. So why do you only have 20 minutes? And when I say 20 minutes, it is a hard 20 minutes, right? So when you open up the program and you get the 2 questions, if you have not submitted by the end of 20 minutes, it's just going to shut you down. And if you haven't submitted answers, you'll just get zeros for that. So what is the point here? Why is it only a 20-minute time period? Well, to explain this, let me show you the study guide. So again, I'm going to go through the study guide in more detail in the exam guidelines. But I just want to show you right now, all the possible essay questions for exam 1 are already posted. There's 6 of them. Here's 1, 2, 3, and as you scroll through, you get to 6. Now you should see that these prompts are pretty long. So again, there's no way you could complete 2 of them in 20 minutes. So the idea behind this is that before you open up the exam, this is very important, before you open up the exam, you should already have some answers written out to these questions. Right? So the idea is not that you open up the exam and then you do your answers. The idea is that you've already gone through and done the work of writing out answers to all 6 of these essay questions. And then when the program says, I want the answer to this one, it's just simply a matter of uploading the relevant document. So that's why I only give you 20 minutes. It's to incentivize and make sure that you have to go through and answer all 6 questions. And then once you start the exam, the work's already done. You just upload your answers. Okay, and notice another thing to say, because these essay questions are already available, the idea isn't really that you wait till the very last minute before the exam to start writing them out. In fact, my recommendation would be that, for instance, let's go back up to the top, that as soon as we're done with Lesson 2 on Plato's Euthyphro, right, Lesson 2, which we'll be getting to in a few weeks, as soon as we're done with that lesson, start working on these questions. As soon as we're done with Lesson 4, start working on this question. When we're done with Lesson 5, work on this question, etc., etc. If you work on the essay questions gradually and periodically over the course of the semester, your life will be a lot easier when you finally get to the exam, right? Because then you won't be scrambling at the last minute to write out all your answers. That week of the final exam could really just be spent sort of checking your work, making sure you've explained things carefully and fully, but you would have already done a lot of the work. Your life would be so much easier. In any case, that's my recommendation, and that's my thought on the exam. So you will get, for the exam, you will get 2 different essay questions. Each is worth 100 points. So each of those essay questions is worth half your grade, and they are randomly selected, right? So when you open up the program, the 2 questions that the program gives you are not necessarily going to be the same as the questions that another of your classmates will get. The 2 questions will be randomly selected from that group of 6. Okay, again, so that's mostly what I want to say about the exams for now. If again for the for exam 2, same situation, but the week of the exam will be the 7th to 11th. It will open up on the 7th at 8 a.m., close on the 11th by the end of the day. And the final point to make about the exams is that something that you should know is that neither of the exams are cumulative. So exam 1 just covers the material from weeks 1 through 8, and exam 2 just covers the material from the second half of the course. So there is no cumulative final exam. Exam 2 is during final exam week, but it's not a final exam per se. Okay, so for now, that's everything I'll say about the exams. There will be another video in a few weeks for you to watch to go over those guidelines in more detail. So if you put all that together, you get the following for your final grade. You have the 20 discussion boards, 4 response papers, 2 exams. That comes out to 800 total points. You can see your grade scale here and how I will adjust that raw point total into percentage into a letter grade. Now, a couple of other things you should know about grading. So there is no automatic rounding of grades up to the next highest category, right? So if you're almost at a higher category, let's say you have like 710 points but 720 for an A, it doesn't get automatically rounded, but I do take into consideration for rounding your class participation, right? So as I state here, if you're within 20 total points of the next highest grade bracket, then I do consider bumping you up to that higher grade bracket based on your participation. And what does your participation take into account? Well, largely the discussion boards, right? If I see you going above and beyond the Call of Duty, really having quality responses, responding in meaningful ways to your classmates, then that's something I would take into account at the end of the semester and bump your grade up. Another way that can happen is office hour meetings, being someone who is putting forth the effort and the willingness, showing that you're really engaging with the course in a number of different ways. That's something I'll also take into account to bump up your grade at the end of the semester. You should notice that participation can help you, but it can't hurt you, right? So at the end of the semester, I'm not going to say, well, this person didn't really do much participation, so I'm going to take their grade down. I'm not going to do that. It just means you'll be missing out on the opportunity to have your grade bumped up. And then finally, my missed and late work policy. So let's say you have to miss a deadline for an assignment. Just the easiest one is, let's say something comes up and you have to miss an exam. So is there a way that you can make up that deadline? And my answer is yes, provided 2 conditions are met. So first, if you have an excused reason for why you have to miss a deadline, please notify me no later than 24 hours after the missed deadline. So if the exam is due on a Friday at the end of the day, if you can let me know of why you missed that and you don't turn in, let me know of why you missed that deadline at the end of the day on Saturday, and that would meet the first condition. Secondly, you need to have a reason for missing the assignment that I find excusable, so things like a death in the family or illness or some sort of emergency are certainly excusable, and I'm pretty flexible here, to be honest, but things I don't find excusable are just forgetting or oversleeping, just for example. So you have to have a reason the instructor finds excusable and notify me no later than 24 hours after you miss the deadline. Okay, so that's my missed and late work policy. I think that's enough about assignments and grading. I'll just also say there's a few other, under the university policies and resources section, a few other, helpful links here you might check out, but I won't go much into. Things like the Academic Learning Center, the Student Academic Success Center. There's also a note about the Writing Center, a place you can go for help, for instance, with your response papers, in addition to asking me for help. But I think that's pretty much everything I want to say about the syllabus for now. So I will stop there. Thank you for watching, and I really look forward to working with you this semester to introduce the subject of philosophy and hopefully help you think about a number of questions that maybe you haven't thought about before. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.